Here's more wrestling news for January 12th, 2022, and we're starting off with AEW as Jon Moxley took an incredibly rare loss on this week's Dynamite. Months after their match was cut short due to a concussion and Moxley awarded the victory, he and Adam Page had their long-awaited rematch this week, and it didn't disappoint. Opening up Dynamite, the pair had a hard-hitting affair and referenced the dramatic end to their last match with several heavy blows to each other's heads and necks. Despite Moxley targeting what he believed was a weak spot, Paige delivered a buckshot lariat to get the win and mark Moxley's first singles loss on Dynamite in 17 months. Mox struggled to get up after the match. He failed to recognize the match referee as well. AEW went to a commercial break several minutes after the match. A fan footage from the event captured moments that transpired during the commercial break. The footage shows Wheeler Yuta coming to Mox's aid in the ring and helping him get to the back. Excalibur noted after the commercial break that Mox received medical attention after the match. As of this writing, the company hasn't released a new update on him. It remains to be seen if Mox is selling the brutality of the match. Moxley's most recent singles loss on the show came in July 2021 when he came up short in a death match against Lance Archer in an IWGP United States Championship match. Moxley hasn't been having a great time as of late, losing the AEW World title to MJF at Full Gear, losing his mentor William Regal in the process, and now losing on Dynamite, and we're sure Mox is hungry to turn this slump around. Moxley's loss was a huge surprise for the fans this week, but it wasn't the only monumental moment on Dynamite. After Mox and Paige had a barn burner in the first segment, Adam Cole made his return to AEW in his first Dynamite appearance in almost 5 months. After his match at Forbidden Door last June, Cole was diagnosed with a concussion, but would appear with his Undisputed Era allies Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly in August to attack the Young Bucks, ending the Undisputed Elite faction. Speaking about his injury, Cole said that he had good news and bad news for everyone, which put the fans on edge. The good news was that he had made significant improvements in his journey back to the ring and spoke about the support his girlfriend Britt Baker has shown him. The bad news, as Cole explained, was to the AEW locker room, as he is now back and ready to compete once more. Since joining AEW over a year ago, Cole's sole championship has been the ceremonial Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament belt, but the former NXT champion has yet to win a major title. Cole is back and his mission to be on top of AEW is clear, and after it was reported that his days in the ring could be over, his return was a welcome sight on this week's Dynamite. Fans were thrilled to see Adam Cole on the show, but he wasn't quite the former WWE superstar a lot of the audience were expecting to see. In the weeks prior to Dynamite, many expected that Mercedes Moné would be debuting for Tony Khan and would be Saraya's partner for her match with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Even after AEW announced Toni Storm as her partner, fans expected the former Sasha Banks, and during Dynamite, no Mercedes trended on Twitter as the reality of the situation set in. Sure enough, Mercedes Moné did not appear on Dynamite, but Hikaru Shida's slow heel turn continued, as was her kendo stick that allowed the heels to get the win. Shida claimed that she threw the weapon in the ring for Saraya to use, but given the tensions when Saraya chose Storm over her last week, many aren't buying Shida's claims. As for Moné, her focus is on the IWGP Women's title match with Kairi set for New Japan's Battle in the Valley next month, and while she may compete for AEW one day, this just wasn't the right week. Mercedes Moné did not appear on AEW Dynamite, but that didn't stop Saraya herself from teasing her arrival. Prior to Dynamite going live, Saraya appeared on her Twitch stream and said that Britt Baker had given her 2 tickets to Dynamite and said that they had been used. Of course, fans jumped to the conclusion that one seat was going to be filled by Moné, while speculation ran about who would fill the other seat, with many assuming Naomi. Whoever filled those seats, they certainly weren't the former WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, but at least someone got a good view of Dynamite, thanks to the DMD. Now MJF has a gift when it comes to angering wrestling fans, and with his words, can turn even the most welcoming of crowds into a rabid, hostile group. Sure enough, MJF was on last night's show in typical heel fashion, but security wanted to make sure that things didn't escalate. As Alfred Kanua of Forbes reported, security at the Kia Forum were taking away drinks from fans and pouring the content into plastic containers just in case people threw their beverages at the world champion. One guard told Kanua that they were told to do this specifically because of how good MJF's promo was going to be. MJF was on form on the show, calling the audience a bunch of nerds, mocking Konosuke Takeshita's promo skills, and called Freddie Prinze Jr., who attended the show, nothing more than a Scooby-Doo douchebag. Prince's presence at the show shouldn't be too big of a shock, as he is a known wrestling fan, and in addition to being the host of his Wrestling with Freddie podcast, used to work for WWE as a writer. The Scooby-Doo star did not come along, as Ken Jeong was sat with him, but wisely opted against trying to brawl with the AEW World Champion. AEW has a passionate fan base, but that doesn't mean that throwing glass bottles or anything at wrestlers in the ring is acceptable, and this week's precautions just go to show how effective MJF is as a heel. Over to WWE now, as this week's NXT was the New Year's Evil event and saw the arrival of a former WWE champion. When Sangha announced that Veer Mahan would not be able to compete against the Creed brothers as scheduled, Jinder Mahal showed up to attack the Creeds, and he and Sangha laid the brothers out. As we've seen with the likes of Mandy Rose, a return to NXT can do wonders for a main roster superstar, but don't expect Mahal on Tuesday nights for long. On Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez explained that Mahal will only be on the Gold brand for a few weeks until Veer is ready to come back. At this time, there's no reported reason for Veer's absence, but it doesn't sound like he'll be gone for long, and we'll have to see what's in store for Jinder Mahal once Veer and Sangha are reunited. It was just over a year ago that William Regal was released from WWE, but has now returned to the promotion. Being granted a release from AEW last month, Regal has returned to WWE to be closer to his son, NXT superstar Charlie Dempsey, but that's not all he'll be doing. PW Insider has learned that Regal has indeed returned to WWE for work, and his official title is as WWE's Vice President of Global Talent Development. That name certainly suggests that Regal will be scouting for talent to sign with WWE, and the global talent implies that it will be overseas. With NXT Europe starting this month, WWE will need an influx of new talent based in the continent, especially after firing almost all of their NXT UK stars. The British legend will be kept plenty busy in his new role. Due to his agreement to leave AEW, Regal won't be appearing on WWE TV for at least the next year, meaning he won't be featured on the upcoming Raw 30th Anniversary show. The former Raw GM won't be around for the show, but as PW Insider refers to report, both Shawn X-Pac Waltman and Kane are scheduled to be in attendance. Not only are the two legends on their own, but they are a former tag team and even tag team champions, and we expect plenty more stars of yesteryear for Raw's 30th anniversary event. FTR lost the ROH Tag Team Championships to the Briscoes, Mark and Jay Briscoe at ROH Final Battle, lost the AAA Tag Team Championships to Dralistico and Dragon Lee at AAA Noche de Campeones, and lost the IWGP Tag Team Championships to Bishiman, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi at NJPW Wrestle Kingdom 17. Dax Harwood addressed the future of the team on his podcast with Matt Kuhn. Harwood explained that he and Cash Wheeler were granted a few months of time off by AEW CEO and President Tony Khan. I also have the blessing of Tony Khan to talk about this and make a statement about this. Tony has been nothing but top-notch to me and Dax, since day one. There are things that we haven't agreed on as any boss and any employee, even any friend. There are times that I felt the boat was missed on opportunities for us. There were times that I was super happy with everything we were doing, but there has come a time where we are on the tail end of our careers. Right now, at this point in our career, it is the most important time in our career. I mean that monetarily, creatively, and personally. It is the most important time in our career. With that being said, we have asked and been granted the next few months off of television so we can sit back, reflect, decide, let our bodies heal, and figure out what we're going to do for the next few years. Whatever we decide to do next will be the absolute last thing we do as far as wrestling. Dax Harwood mentioned that he and Cash Wheeler will have an answer about their future in AEW. He stated that FTR wants to build their legacy in the sport and did confirm that their contracts will expire in April. By April, we will have an answer. I have to take my health, my family, my creativity, and I have to take my personal life all in consideration about what we're going to do next. I know what I want to do, but whatever we do, I just want to be respected. I feel we've done something so special in 2022, and most of that is in part to the fans. We deserve to continue to build on our legacy for ourselves, but we also owe it to the fans to build on that legacy because they made us this past year. I'm not sure exactly how long we'll be away. It may be all the way until the end of our contract. Our contract is up in April. FTR is obviously in a very interesting position right now. We'll have to see how long it takes for FTR to make it back. And we're ending today with the Judgment Day, who after a few early hiccups and changing members, have come into their own as a group on Monday Night Raw. This week, the Judgment Day were crowned the #1 contenders for the Raw Tag Team titles and earned this shot in impressive fashion. Originally, the team in the Tag Team Turmoil match was Finn Balor and Damian Priest, but after Balor said that he couldn't compete, Dominic Mysterio took his place. The group defeated every single team in the Tag Team Turmoil match, and Fightful Select reports that their efforts were lauded backstage for how well they did in such a long match. Mysterio's name was singled out on the report as not only did he compete, but he also introduced his new ex-convict character, which has proven to be quite a hit with a large portion of fans. The fact that the match was specifically to determine the next challenger for the Raw Tag Team titles has led many to feel the Usos' gold will be split up soon, and whether the Judgment Day can dethrone them or not, their efforts did not go unnoticed this week.